Oh yeah, right. Chat panel. Hey, hey! Look at that. You made it for the very beginning of the stream. I'm glad you were able to stop by, even if no one else stops by. Your presence makes it a success, so thanks for coming by. There is someone from Blue Sky that I was planning on coming by. His name is Mark. But yeah, so he mentioned he had a MicroFreak and was was a little intimidated by it, having some trouble getting into it, and that was part of the reason I decided to go ahead and set up my webcam to do this, or to set up my camera setup. It's I don't know how it looks over there on my screen. It looks okay, but you know, yeah. So who knows if he'll come by or not. I guess we can start here with a little introduction to the MicroFreak and put my headphone on so I can hear what I'm doing. Um, so MicroFreak is, in every sense of the word, a hybrid synthesizer. It's hybrid digital and analog. It's got digital oscillators and digital control elements with an analog filter. But it's also hybrid in the sense that pretty much they've crammed nearly every form of synthesis known to man into the oscillator section. It's based off, in part, mutable instruments plates, or plats, I guess is how it's pronounced, um, which is a multi-oscillator model oscillator for Eurorack. Good to hear that it looks good over there. And with now they took that basis, which the Platts module has, it probably has 18 or 25 different um, oscillator models. They took like a half or a third of those. Like I think they didn't do many of the percussion ones that it has, for example. But they took the better part of the sort of oscillator modules, if you will, and put them into here, and then added their own versions of a few, added some new stuff, and then that was what they released with. And then since then, they've added a huge whole ton of, like, seems like once or twice a year, they'll add some whole new feature set to this, mostly to the oscillator section, although a few other features have come up. The synth offers monophonic, paraphonic, and unison modes. Monophonic, one note at a time. Paraphonic has up to 4 notes at a time, but they all the notes share a single filter. That's the paraphonic versus polyphonic. And the unison mode lets you play all four voices, or up to the four voices, as a single note detuned, to get those kind of classically fat. So you still get one note at a time, but now it's made up of 4 notes, or up to 4 that are detuned, to get those classic unison sounds. Spinning voices, welcome. Just doing a little explainer here to get started. And yeah, so that's the basics of this synth. It's got this non-traditional keyboard, which is poly touch. It can measure the capacitance of how much you're touching, basically how much skin is touching each one of the keys, to give you poly aftertouch. It's arranged in a standard keyboard layout, but it's obviously a non-standard keyboard. This is just a flat capacitive panel. It's also got this strip here, which can be used for pitch bend, or can control the sequencer randomization functions, which is actually, it's not the most useful thing in the world. I mean, honestly, I think this is the one thing they should have made this a little more flexible, and maybe it still will be made in a future update, although there's no place on the mod matrix for it, so I don't know what they could do as far as that goes. I'll get to that in just a second. But it's also got 64 step sequencer, It's got an A and a B, so it's actually got two 64-step sequences that you can switch back and forth between, up to 64. You can do 16, 32, 48, etc., up to 64. Yeah, and then that's the basic gist of it. And we can go ahead and break it down top to bottom here. Mark, welcome. So you are the Mark is actually the blue sky friend who's looking for the Arturia Freak breakdown. So you've come at the perfect time. I'm just about to dive into the real nuts and bolts of this. You might have missed some of the early explainer stuff, but that stuff's pretty much just introduction to the synth. You probably already know most of it by just owning the thing. And if you don't, it's nothing that's gonna stop you from enjoying or utilizing the synth at all. Okay, so top to bottom, let's just go over everything real quick, and then we'll get to programming pretty quickly, I promise. So this is sort of the most important part, and we're actually going to gloss over it for now. This is the mod matrix. This is where you assign all of your modulations. This is what's going to make your patches really come alive a lot of times. We'll get into that a little bit later. This button here is what you use to switch between the paraphonic, monophonic, and unison modes. It's labeled paraphonic, but it's got a shift function to go into unison. This is the sort of display panel. And these get you into some utility stuff. This does some utility stuff. This is how you scroll through presets. These are all some different presets I've made. Get back into this init patch. Got your glide control here. That's for doing gliding between notes, for doing portamento. Here's the digital oscillator section. You select the type with this, and then it's got 3 controls per type. There's about 20 different types. We'll go through as many of them as we can today. Here's your filter controls. I've got this set up to what I like to consider my default patch. So the filter's wide open, resonance is all the way down, it's on low pass. This matches what the settings are in the init patch, which is what we're on right now. Yeah, filter's all the way open, resonance is all the way down. It's got a low pass, band pass, high pass mode, pretty standard multi-mode filter. It's based on the Oberheim SEM filter. It sounds pretty good. Some people, I have heard some people say they dislike this filter, so your mileage may vary, including people I respect. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I touched the camera mount and now it's all wobbly. Hopefully it'll settle down. I just barely brushed it. Sorry about the seasickness, y'all. Okay, so then we have the cycling envelope. Cycling envelope is it's a function generator basically, so it can cycle like an LFO, and you can change the rise and fall times and add a hold stage if you want, or you can use it one shot like an envelope and get 2 envelopes out of this. And it also, so it's got a run mode where it starts when you hold the key, if I remember this right. Starts when you hold the key and runs through the thing while you're holding the key. And then when you let off, it goes, it's going to restart again when you hold the key. And then the loop mode is just running continuously, which is like a free running LFO. Those might be reversed. I can't 100% remember. It's been a few little while since I have programmed this actively, but we'll figure anything out that I'm not 100% sure at as we go along. Octave buttons just makes the keyboard go up and down an octave. The shift, accesses the shift functions. Most of these are outlined in blue on the panel. I think if you have a newer MicroFreak, some like the paraphonic might also have like a unison mode in blue for shift, because that's, if you shift in paraphonic, that's how you get the unison mode. Like here, if you hold shift and hit this, it takes you into the sequencer controls. If you just hit it, it turns on the arpeggiator. It's also got an arpeggiator, didn't mention that. Pretty standard arpeggiator. And then LFO is here. Select the wave shape, select the rate. It's also completely syncable. And finally, the envelope. This button here determines if the envelope goes to the amp or not. If you turn this off, then the amp is just it just gates on and off. You touch the key and it goes to full volume, and you let the key off and it goes to 0 immediately. If you have this on, then the envelope will control. This button means the envelope will control. So if you make a nice slow attack, if we turn that off, okay. Yep, and that is it. That's the, I think that covers, yeah, Mark, no problem. You should feel free to drop in and out. I just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to see the beginning stuff. You should not feel obligated to stay the whole time. I'll probably be going till about 1:30 my time, so like roughly an hour and 15 minutes, because I got a football game to watch after that. Okay, so that's basically it. We can start programming some sounds now. So this has about 20 engines. We can just go through them super quick. Basic Waves is a virtual analog. It just lets you get sawtooth, square wave, or two sawtooths are your options on that. Super Wave is a super saw, super square, and a super sine, which means just a bunch of detuned of whatever waveform. WaveTable is a wavetable oscillator. This is one of my favorites on here, actually. And there's also a user wavetable later on. Harmo, this is a basic additive oscillator. Lets you play with a number of partials, and I think maybe does some wave folding or something as well. Can't remember for sure. Carplus-Strong is a physical modeling algorithm. It's used for plucked and bowed string sounds. Virtual analog is the second virtual analog. This one is the one that is from Platts, I believe, and it's like lets you detune a couple of waveforms, yeah, change the shape of them, yeah, modify. We'll play with this. It's just another, let's use some basic wave shapes for virtual analog stuff. Wave Shaper, this has like a wave folder. It's like a distortion, it's got a bunch of wave folding and stuff like that options. It's pretty sweet. 2-op FM, pretty self-explanatory. It's a 2-op FM, controls for ratio, feedback, and amount. So amount of FM modulation, ratio goes pretty ridiculously high. Yeah. Anyway, and Formant. This makes speech-like sounds. Uses like Formant generators. Chords. You can do single key chords here. You can set the chord type, inversions, all that kind of stuff. Speech. Frequency. This is a Texas Instruments style speech synthesizer. Pretty silly stuff. Modal is another physical modeling thing. It's based, I want to say it's based very loosely on rings. Noise is a noise oscillator. It's also got a tone in there. Some controls for that stuff. This is bass or bass. I'm not actually sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. I've read it's not bass like the instrument. It's someone's name, but their name could be bass or their name could be bass. I don't really know. But this is one of the noise engineering oscillators. It's got a sine and cosines and wave folders, and it's a pretty interesting algorithm. We can get back to that. Saw X is a kind of super saw from noise engineering, rather. So it's a super saw style sound with like noise modulation and some wave shaping. Harm is another additive style oscillator with some wave folding built in. This is the user wavetable. It's got now sample. It's a piano sample, I think. This is the most recent one. This oscillator type I've not really played with other than just to check it out. And then here we are into the granular oscillator types. Where it lets you play with the samples through a granular engine. It's got 3 different approaches. Again, these are ones I haven't played with much. And then finally a vocoder. You can plug a mic in. I do not have a mic handy, so we won't be messing with that one today at all. But yeah, those are the oscillator types. And yeah, I love all filters myself. So I don't know if anyone has a particular one that they want to play with. I'm going to start with the wavetable because I like wavetable oscillators, and it just seems like a good place to start. But if anyone wants to check out any of those particular oscillator types, just throw it into chat and I will dial up a synth sound based on it. So one of the things, one thing this synth lacks, I'll just mention this and then we'll get into programming, is effects. I do not have it running through any effects. So if it sounds a little raw or unprocessed or just doesn't sound finished to your ears, that's probably why. Running it through like a simple delay or chorus can really do wonders for that. I did not get that set up on my mixer. I could do it in about 5 minutes or less if I needed to. But let's go with it raw for now. And if y'all really feel like it needs to, we need to hear what it would sound like with some effects, I can plug it through something pretty easily and we can try to make some effects. Okay, for now, let's start with, so again, sorry about the wobbliness. I put my elbow on my table here. My setup is very rudimentary. It's a bunch of Temu crap and duct tape and just thrown together. So I apologize if I keep doing this going forward and people actually are showing up and finding this useful. I will probably invest in some better camera mounts and shit like that to avoid the wobbliness and the weirdness. So I hope I'm not making anyone seasick. I know some people are hypersensitive to that stuff. And I apologize if I am making you seasick. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this is a kind of a classic wavetable oscillator. Position is controlled with the second knob here. And then this one is a chorus. Let's put a chorus on the oscillator, which is kind of cool. Now, I heard that Blush Response, Joey from Blush Response, Joey is Blush Response, whatever. I don't know if you're familiar with, he's a YouTuber, also a techno musician, record label guy, member of Front 242, touring member of Front 242, like not an original member or anything. He's not that old, he's younger than I am. He did some of these wavetables, I just found out. I really love his stuff. He is one of the most, if you do gear demos on YouTube at all, I highly recommend his gear demos because he will show you that no matter what the gear and no matter who you are or what your style is, you can basically bend any gear to your will. What I love about his gear demos is no matter what it is that he is demoing, it sounds just like him. So anyway, he did some of these wavetables. This one sounds promising to start with at least. Let's see. Yeah, it seems good. So we'll start it down here. Okay, so my first thought, one of my favorite things to do is a very classic thing to do, so I'm certainly not pretending that this is anything I've innovated, but is to have an envelope, in this case probably we'll use the cycling envelope, modifying moving the reposition of a wavetable to get some gnarly like digital wave shaping. It just as it moves the harmonics around, it sounds cool. That's the general gist of it here. So we'll do cycling envelope, and we're going to do it to timbre. So as you can see here, you can move this around. This line here tells you what modulator you're using. We're on the top line, so that's the cycling envelope. And then you move it from spot to spot. We're going to put it to timbre, which is the second. That's the one that does the wave table position. And click here. Now we can just dial in. Sorry, my hand's probably in the way, so you can see. Let's dial in. So if you hit shift on these, you can actually affect their, I don't know, hopefully that's high res enough you can see what's happening there. You affect the curve. Hold at the top there. Hold out. Yeah, so I'm just tweaking this till I think it sounds kind of cool. There's no real rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. I'm just using my ears, find a cool range and a cool rise and fall time. Alright. Now we'll maybe take the filter. So this does have this sort of dedicated filter mount thing here. So you can just easily, we could also dial this up here. Just a shortcut basically. But, and, you know, maybe for consistency, oops. Let's go ahead and do that. Envelope to cutoff. Pew. And this, is this, no, I can't do that. So we already got something kind of interesting going there. So yeah, so we'll click that now and lock that in. Turn that off. Continue tweaking this. It's not quite. You can hear the chorusing come in. All right. Let's use the LFO to vary the, oops, to vary the amount of chorus. Turn the sync off. Oh, it's loud enough. Hope it's loud enough. I guess I can turn up my headphones. It sounds kind of quiet to me, but I think it's just because I have my headphones turned down. So, so we got that, and then now pressure. Just do pressure to open the filter up a little bit. Sorry, I'll try and remember to do this so you can actually see the values as I'm putting them in. I'm right-handed, so my instinct is to use my right hand, but of course the way this is set up, my right hand covers up what I'm doing there. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm just adding pressure as a control for the cutoff, so you can see I'm sort of using more finger and that opens the filter up. And now, I'll do, just to be, just so I can use everything once, we're going to use the key tracking to control resonance. Hold that, move this. Okay. So now the further up the keyboard you go, the more resonance you're going to get. That doesn't really sound that interesting, does it? Let's clear that. What if we did key tracking to, I'll make it, tell you what we'll do, we'll make it shift the, so right now, the, oh, I didn't even need to do that, did I? Let's clear that. Is that right? Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling to myself here. I know that's not very helpful at all. What we're going to do is set this to 0. There we go. Let's turn it off. I know there's a way to zero it out real quick, but again, I'm a little tiny bit rusty on some of the shortcuts because I haven't used this for a little while. I did have it to muscle memory level. That's how much I like this synth. But I got busy doing some other things, and I have barely touched this synth for a couple of months. So, okay, let's just use it to move the wavetable. Let's move the wavetable backwards. So that just will give you a slightly different timbre as you shift up and down the keyboard. And I mostly did that to illustrate my synth programming approach to this synth in particular, and I've actually tried to replicate it on other synths that are slightly more complex with mixed results. Yeah, so because this handy dandy modulation matrix is, first of all, so powerful, but also it's so visual and it's right there. It's sort of my guide to, like, you know, when I'm done with a sound. Once every modulator is sent to a destination, if I don't have something else that I desperately want to do, like this, I mean, on that last one, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I could send it to this, maybe I could send it to that. Then I figure I'm done. So like this sounds, now I don't know what I would use this for. I mean, obviously I mostly made it to as an illustration for y'all, but you know, it's fine for that. Yeah, we'll save it. So we're gonna, this is the save, hit the save button and you click this once to save it, choose a category, we'll call it keys, I don't know, whatever, and we'll call it InfoTable because I made it to inform you people how all this works, and it's a wavetable sound. Sometimes I get real creative with my sound names, and sometimes I do not. I don't know what you would, if you would call this very creative or not. Maybe you'd be like, it's a stupid name. Or maybe you're like, my God, that's so smart, it's so genius. Either way, that's what we're going to call it. And then you hit save again. That's it. So you might use this as kind of an atmospheric sound. You can use it as a lead. If you want to make it paraphonic. That's not bad, actually. Add a little reverb on there. Delay, chorusing, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Yeah, and you turn, and so back to your basic preset. Move the cutoff all the way open and the resonance all the way down. And that's that. That's the sound. That's how you make a sound on the MicroFreak. Let's see if we can get to some. We can get to some of these newer. Let's see. Okay, so as I recall, shift and then this. Yeah, there we go. So to change, ooh, a shamisen sample. That's fun. Let's play with this granular. Chaos, that's a fun setting. I got some ideas here. I'm not sure which patch if they're referring to the current one or the last one, but I think either of them would sound good through some lo-fi reverb. I'm a big fan. All right, so what I'm thinking here is we're going to use this envelope. So we'll use the cycling envelope to go to, which one was it? Not density, chaos, yeah. So chaos, good. All right, put it on that. It's going to go to the chaos. Right. That seems good. Real short. Let's see what we do. Okay, all right. And we'll do the envelope on the filter. Again, I know there's a shortcut, but I just like to be consistent here. Turn the filter way down. Do kind of a slower, not slow, but slow-ish attack. Longish delay. Just trying out some different filters types, just trying to see what's going to be interesting here. You know, and I think I also want this LFO to go to the filter. I'm going to turn sync off. LFO also to the filter. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know. This is, like I said, I've not played with these granular patches too much. Maybe I should also have the LFO go to the timbre as well. Make it timbre is density, right? Turn it way down, maybe. I don't know. I'm just so right now I'm trying the timbre. This is the density. It's controlled by the LFO. I don't know. It's not really doing it for me. I'll take that off. I really should learn the shortcut to zero out the these here. Maybe I could do. Oh, that is interesting. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we'll do pressure to resonance. That'll give it kind of a sharper sound if you use a little more pressure. Kind of an interesting, like wobbly, unsteady something. I don't know. Yeah, I really probably should. I mean, not that I wouldn't love to have one, but as often as I use this in its paraphonic mode, I should probably consider getting a mini freak so I can have the full polyphony. We can also, let's see what this sounds like as unison. That's interesting. I don't know. This is one of those sounds that, like, I guess I'm not in love with it, but it's kind of interesting. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it, and I'm not sure what else to do with it, so we're just going to save that. Save it in this spot. Put that under sound effects, and we'll save it as WobbleGrain, I think is what we'll call it. WobbleGrain. Because it's wobbly, and we use the granular engine. So creative. Right. So, does any of y'all have a suggestion for what oscillator type I should use, or what kind of a sound I should make, or anything? I mean, I can keep freestyling it here, but part of the problem is I have used this so much I get a little in my own head on things, and I'm not really explaining what I'm doing or explicating my thought process all that much, because it's all muscle memory for me. But I'll give this a second. Maybe we could play some of my presets. So I've got about 50, almost 50 presets available on Gumroad if you're interested in them. I think I have the first 23 of them as a free download, and the second 23 is a $3 or $5 download. The idea being, if you download the first set and you're like, oh man, these are so good and I love them, try some Blade Runner shit. Dubstep bass but darker. Yes, some of these presets you might actually recognize from recordings. But yeah, these are all, like, not all, but about half of what I might play for you as presets are available. And I can definitely make some Blade Runner shit. I assume you mean Blade Runner shit, you mean some CS80, like lead sounds like they had in Blade Runner. Dubstep bass, but darker. I assume I know what that means too. It's a nice pad sound. Imagine that through a big reverb. Yeah, good stuff. First bass, that's literally, this is the first bass I made. I frequently make a sound called first bass when I get a new synth. It's kind of a fun sound that I don't think I've ever found a place for. That's almost like a dubstep bass, but darker. This thing is pretty great for weird effect sounds like this. Does some cool percussion. You've definitely heard some of these percussion sounds. I sampled the shit out of this and a couple other percussion patches I have, and those percussion sounds are all over all of my recordings. Pressure-sensitive lead sound. Okay, hey, that's enough presets. Let's fill some requests. So dubstep bass, but darker, like if it were dark ambient. So I assume you mean by dubstep bass something that's kind of growly and with a bit of sweep into it. And so that dubstep bass strongly suggests to me that we're doing something with FM. So we've got the 2-op FM here. So I got the cycling envelope set to envelope, which means it's just going to one shot. It's just going to be an envelope. We are going to set that to timbre. Yeah, right. That's what we're going to set it to. Yeah. So that's kind of dubstep bassy, right? That's maybe getting into dubstep meets dark ambient. Okay. Oh, I like that. I like it. Okay. What if we also then use the same envelope on the filter to open it up just a little bit here. Once again, sorry about that. I'm using my, so I got it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and actually, you know what we're going to do is we are going to also going to use the same envelope to sweep the resonance just a little bit. So it also goes up. This is going to really emphasize the sweep. Oops. Maybe we can make this one go up even more. God damn it. Sorry. I'm never going to remember to use the left hand here so you can actually see the values that I'm putting in. I will say I don't really pay all that much attention necessarily to the numbers. Okay, that's a lie. I use a lot of prime numbers to kind of determine where I'm going with things, but it's mostly just as like a way station. I use my ears to determine whether it actually sounds right or not. Keep turning that up even more. There we go. That gets into that like turn it down. Yeah, there we go. All right, and I don't know if you noticed, I turned the amp mod off because this is a sound that actually works well enough just being gated on and off, and so we'll use the envelope for some more interesting stuff, like okay, I could use it on the ratio, which will probably wreck the sound, but let's try it out and just see what it sounds like. Ooh, that's a... It kind of sounds pretty good, actually. Well, that kind of sounds silly, but... got the ARP going so I can make some adjustments on the fly here. Wow, that's a long fucking decay. What is going on? Oh, I see. We're still holding the note. Gotta turn the keyhold off. Ah, that's weird. I don't know if it's good. That's too much, I think. Oh, no. Yeah, definitely. I'm a big proponent of doing things by ear, even if things are like, I mean, I guess if you're really super into musical theory and that stuff's second nature to you, like thinking in terms of sense or chord relationships, things like that might really become second nature to you. To me, and times like, oh, you know, this should be this time division or whatever. I don't think like that. So for me, everything's done by ear. Oh, I don't know. How's that? Is that a dubstep meets dark ambient bass? We know what we need. We need some additional. What if? Okay, we're going to put the LFO to cut off. Not that much, but then the other thing we're going to do, let's see if I can remember how to do this, is do that, and then we're going to do this to here. And so now, yeah. Oops, we did it wrong though. Oh yeah, that's right. That's what we want. So now, okay, so actually we want to put this one of those things that I am not remembering. Turn this down to like basically nothing. Maybe just like a little tiny. Yeah, okay, that's what we want to do. Turn this. Okay, so what we're doing here is using the aftertouch to add filter modulation via the LFO. And we will set the sync off and set the sync rate, set it really high. That's kind of neat though. So this LFO goes all the way to 100 hertz. So you can definitely get it. That's well into audio rate. So you can get some pretty wild modulations. That's this sounds interesting and gnarly. I wonder if... That's kind of interesting. And then I think I'm also going to assign the pressure to up the resonance. That's kind of neat. So you can get this kind of like liquid burbling sound by pressing using the aftertouch. There you go. Dark ambient meets dubstep bass. Ta-da! Save that. Click save. It is definitely a bass. We'll call that. I'm going to call it dub. How do alphabets work? Oh, I see. I'm going backwards. Derp. Dark. And save. Ta-da! Okay, and now some Blade Runner shit. Let's go to the supersaw. Let's So mostly having the decay and release be the same is fine, but sometimes you do run into situations where it'd sure be nice to have independent control over those. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean by Blade Runner synth, but I'm having a hard time like putting it together mentally here. Probably because I've not fully caffeinated. Of course, part of the Blade Runner sound is definitely some reverb and stuff, and we won't have that. But... Okay, that sounds about right. And then let's do... too much. And of course, see, I was like insisting on doing this up here, but if it actually puts a value on there when you use this knob, so it's smarter than I am. I should have remembered that. It has been a while. It's coming back to me, but like I said, it's been a while. You have so many synthesizers and you work on so many different projects, it's hard not to neglect. All right, that seems pretty decent as a basis. What if we use the cycling? Oh, no. Not the pitch, that's not what we want. That's not what I want either, actually. Whoop. Take that down to 0. Sorry, wrong hand, using the wrong hand. And now I got everything wobbling again. I'm sorry. Don't wobble, friend. Don't wobble. Gotta remember to move slowly here. Okay, so get into the oscillator, not the wave, maybe the timbre. Yeah, that'll affect the detune, right? We'll get some wobble in here. Nice and short. Not too short. As you can hear here, this is adding to the detune. Just trying to find the rate. Add some interesting variation. Make it playable. What we're going to do is use the just tried the paraphonic to see if that would, or I'm sorry, the unison to see if that would, but it's already pretty unison, so it's not really making that much difference, honestly. Okay, we can put the LFO on the, maybe on this loudness here. Yep. Subtle variation. I don't know. I'm not sure that we're really getting fully into Blade Runner territory here. Like I said, I am having a little bit of a hard time, even though I know what you're talking about. I'm hearing it in my head, I guess, is what I'm having a hard time doing, which is making it hard to get there on the sound. You know, I just need some portamento. That's what I got. I don't know if you think that's remotely close to what you had in mind or way off base, but I don't feel like this is terribly Blade Runner-esque, so in a sense I feel like it fails you. That's too long. That's too long. That's still too long, but we're getting closer. Make that a lead. We're going to call it Bad Blade. I did promise Synth Q&A, which I've not done any. Yeah, right. I definitely think there's the effects, the chorusing and the reverb are definitely key to that Blade Runner sound. And then also the way it's played too, because, you know, I'm not Vangelis. I wish I was. Yes, Vangelis is a genius. That's what I'm saying. And I am probably not a genius. I'm a nice enough guy, but I'm probably not a genius. Okay. Did anyone have any questions, synth questions that they wanted to ask about this synth or about any other synth? Or we could maybe squeeze in one more quick sound. Throw up any questions you have, and I will answer them real quick before I go. And I'm going to speed run a new sound here. So we're going to go to the new one. I'm just going to scroll through oscillator types till I see something that catches my eye. Let's do the wave shaper, actually. I do think this wave shaper is amazing. growly basses and shit. Okay, so we're going to, oops, not gonna that. Yeah, let's do. So we've got the cycling envelope going. The first parameter. Which sounds pretty good. And then, oh wait, why do we put that there? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the last parameter. That's the asymmetry. Hey, that makes more sense. This is the first parameter. Let's put a little of it on that as well. Very good. Let's send an LFO to this timbre. Yeah. Do I have any Korg monotrons? Yes, I sure do. I have a monotron delay. Here, hold on. I can probably even lay hands on it. Monotron delay. I don't use it all that much anymore, but when I first got it, I used it so much I actually seriously considered buying two for a while. It is for $40, right? Is that what this thing costs? It is an incredible synth for what it costs. It's obviously pretty limited in that it's really difficult, obviously, to play any sort of pitched thing, like, you know, that you would want to play along with anything else. But in terms of like making weird sounds, it is hard to beat. And I like the this one I like in particular, this monotron delay, because it's got the filter and you can run stuff through it. So if you go to my Metaphysical Shitposting album and listen to the last song on there, it's called Skeletons, Murder, and Witchcraft. This filter is used on I ran a old Yamaha 2-op FM synth called the PSS 470. I think it was a 470. It was a 460. I can't remember which model it was. I sold it since then. But anyway, a Yamaha 2-op FM, basically a toy kid synth from the 80s. Through that on that recording, and it was pretty cool. So we got the cycling envelope, we got the envelope, we got the LFO, and yeah, we got to use the pressure for something. I think actually I want to use the pressure to up the resonance. So hold this, and oh, that's not what I'm doing. I held the wrong button. See, I'm a dummy. And we're going to move the resonance back here, and then here, go up. Even more maybe. Sometimes certain settings you got to really go to fairly extreme numbers to. Yeah, so the pressure can introduce just a little bit more. Just keep going here. It's still pretty subtle. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. All right, this I like. Save. And as someone said, it's pretty juicy bass, so we are just going to call it Juice Bass. Swarm, you had mentioned that you're a sampling musician. It is it's either an MS-10 or an MS-20 filter. Yes, something like that. Yeah, it is a really cool. I mean, for what it costs, it's worth picking up just to screw around with. Like, you can also, they're another thing that if you keep an eye on Craigslist or whatever, buy, sell, trade apps, Facebook Marketplace, people will frequently be essentially giving them away. I've literally had someone give me one before. Sometimes, so a couple times a year, or actually more like once every couple of years, I tend to do a big gear purge where I go through and take all the things that are just kind of gathering dust. I have so much gear. A lot of it's like littler stuff that's not really valuable or even all that useful, but it's kind of interesting or weird. Like weird fucked up tape decks and things like that. And then I will do gift exchanges with people locally, where I will just be like, you can come over and take something and then just give me anything. You can give me like frequently artwork I'll ask for, like something they've created. Someone gave me here. I have an example right here. This is a print that someone gave me one time in one of these exchanges. The point being, one time someone gave me a second Korg Monotron, which I then gave away in a later gear exchange, probably like just a couple of weeks later. So yeah, you can find these things for super duper cheap if you want to play around with one, but don't want to spend $40 or $50 out of pocket. You can pick them up on buy, sell, trade apps frequently because people will buy them and play with them for a while and then be like, okay, I don't actually have any real use for this. And then they'll just get rid of it. And and since they only paid maybe get them on sale new for $40, I think they're currently MSRP or typically retailing for something almost 50, like 49 or something like that. But on a Black Friday sale or like a B stock or whatever, people, or if they bought them 2 or 3 years ago, you got it for $40 and you played with it for a couple of days and then it kicked around your backpack or your closet for a month or 6 months, and then you find it and you're like, I should get rid of this thing. And yeah, you're happy to get $20 for it. So keep an eye out on the internet for used Monotrons, really used gear of all sorts. I have this rule of if it seems, so for effects units in particular, if it's $25 or less, I will buy it no matter what it is. I typically won't even test it. Like I have a whole stack of guitar pedals over here that I all bought for $25. A lot of them are like really weird, cheap, janky 90s multi pedals from Zoom and shit like that. That were probably $60. They probably were fairly cheap to begin with. They were $150 or something in 1998 or 2002 or whatever, and now they're wildly outdated. and people are just essentially give them away. And you bring them home and you play with them, and sometimes you find that they really are completely useless, but usually you'll find there's at least one or two cool sounds on it. You'll be like, oh, it's got a super gritty chorus or a screaming distortion or something, and then you can just use it, sample it with some stuff, and play with it until you're done with it, and then you move on from it. And same deal, a lot of times I actually will even make money off things. You buy like a rack mounted effects unit for $20 or $25 from some guy who's had it, from his circa 2000 era rap rock band or whatever, where he was using it to put reverb on his vocals when they were covering hot dog water or whatever. And then he sells it to you for $25. You use it for a couple of months and decide, okay, I don't have that much use for it, and list it for $40, and someone just gives that to you because it's $40. I mean, like, they're not even thinking about it. So and you can almost always resell them for what you paid for it. Yeah, I love putting pedals after synths. I have a lot of, like, most of my pedals, as you probably guessed from what I was just saying, the kind of crap that I buy are pretty janky. But I have this one boutique pedal. It's an Echo Rec, cattle and bred Echo Rec delay, and it's based on the Benson Echo Rec with a few extra tricks. That's the Pink Floyd Live in Pompeii bass from the, what's the one with the two bass lines? Echoes, from the famous Echoes performance. They used an actual Benson Echo Rec. And yeah, so this is like a boutique pedal I have. This sounds really good actually on the MicroFreak, and I will frequently stick that on after there. On my new album that's coming out, Mechanics of Mysticism, I put a Boss DS1 on my Make Noise O Coast at one point, so yeah. Yeah, so this cattle and bred Echo Rec I got in a trade for, funny enough, another cattle and bred pedal called the Bicycle delay. That thing was fucking wild. That one is highly featured on the Tales of Aetherspace song "Any Day Can Be Bicycle Day" if your mind is in the right gear. I used the Bicycle delay on that, and that was a cool pedal, but it was so wild. It was like one of those things where, like, once you've kind of done what it's done, unless what it's doing is exactly your vibe, it was like 25% my vibe. So I used it on a couple things, and then I was like, okay, that's cool. And I put it up for trade in my modular synth group back in Colorado. Shout out to the Colorado Modular Synth Society. And someone traded me this Echo Rec for it, pretty much straight across. And I have found this one to be a little more useful. It's a more standard delay, obviously, but it's got a really good and chill sound, whereas the Bicycle delay was really only good if you wanted to go fully insane on things. And yeah, if I had a bigger pedal collection, I probably would have kept it. But pedals for me are mostly an afterthought. Okay, well, it is 1:30 or 1:25, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. I hope that some of y'all found this interesting. I hope I didn't miss any questions. I'm still getting used to trying to read questions in chat and answer them and respond to them and all that kind of stuff. But I want to thank you all for hanging out for an hour and a half with me, and hopefully we can hang out again. If you come in late and wanted to catch the rest of this, you can stream it or watch it from the beginning on my YouTube page, obviously. Yeah, thank you. It seemed to work pretty well. I will definitely do some more. And the way this is set up, I think I can also, maybe with some different extension cords and things and whatnot, stream Hydrasynth, and possibly Op6, and even modular, if people are interested in seeing any of those things, with relative ease. To some degree, it gets a little more complicated with certain things. I have to move at different spots in my room and whatever. But yeah, I highly recommend the MicroFreak. I will say the only thing I would say about it at this point is it's probably worthwhile to spend the extra money to get the MiniFreak. There are a couple things that the MicroFreak can do that the MiniFreak cannot, but there are more things that the MiniFreak can do that the MicroFreak cannot, and the overlap is large. I think there's like a 65-75% overlap, and then the MicroFreak does, and it's also possible. The other element of that is that based on the number of firmware updates that the MicroFreak has gotten over its lifespan, it is likely that the MiniFreak will also get a bunch of updates that might bring their capabilities closer together. Like, I can't imagine there's any reason that they can't do the sample engines and stuff. Like, it's hard for me to believe that the MicroFreak will be more powerful than the MiniFreak in any way, shape, or form. So probably they can do all the sample engines and all that stuff, and they will at some point implement that stuff on the Mini as well. But on the other hand, like, there's so many of these things around that you can get them pretty cheap. Like, I would not be surprised. People, the word is out for early on when they were new. A lot of people impulse bought them and then decided they hated them, and there was a fucking ton of them around used. Like, I got this one used for $250, I want to say. I can't remember for sure. It was pretty cheap. It was a good deal. Maybe it was $260 or $270, something like that, somewhere in that range. I'm pretty certain it was under $300, relatively early on in their lifespan, and now I see them used for around $300, pretty common, and I think they're like $350 or $375 new. But another thing that if you keep an eye out, you might be able to get just a fucking screaming deal on it. I don't know if they actually would update the hardware of the MicroFreak. I mean, I think that the danger is that you leave people behind then, and there's MicroFreak owners that can't do some of the new stuff and whatever, yada yada. And it seems like, I mean, they just keep being able to extend its capabilities. They clearly made it with more power than it strictly needed. Adding the sample thing into it is just, yeah, it's it can actually be USB powered, but it's not USB-C. It's USB-B power. Is what you can plug a USB-B into it and power it off that. Yeah, yeah. I think Arturia stuff gets cheap used because the build quality is good, but it is not incredible. And a lot of people, like, frequently, like, there's a little knob wobble and things like that. Like, I have not had any of my Arturia stuff die, but probably, I assume some people have, because it's hard. Shit dies. It's just inescapable. But to me, it's I've never had an issue. I bought almost all my Arturia gear used. I'm trying to think, have I bought anything new Arturia? I mean, pigments. I bought pigments new because it's software. Obviously, you can't buy that used. But I think everything else I bought. So I have a Mini Brute 2S. I've got a Drum Brute right next to this MicroFreak here, and I've got the MicroFreak. And I want to say, is that all? I guess that's all. That's all. It's just the 3 cents, 2 cents in a drum machine, and then I also have pigments. But I bought all this hardware used, and it's all been great for me. I've not had any problem with any of it. So. But okay, I am going to wrap this up. And hope that you all had fun, and I will see you all online. I'm going to try and start streaming. I keep thinking I'm going to try and do it during the week, but I keep not being able to find the time to do it. But I might start doing it during the week. Part of the problem is my people aren't around during the day, and then I'm busy at night, and then or evenings, and then at night I actually like to get really high, and I'm not sure I can stream while I'm really high. So we'll see. But okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you online. Bye.